So students, our next topic is how is the sex of the baby determined? So students, do you know what determines whether the baby developing inside the mother womb is a boy or a girl? So students, it is determined by the chromosomes. These are the thread-like structure found in the nucleus, and these thread-like structures carries information in the form of genes. These structures contains 23 pairs of chromosomes, in which one pair of chromosome is called the sex chromosome. In the case of female, it is XX chromosomes, and in the case of male, it is X and Y chromosomes. Why we say that these are the XX and XY? Because of their shape. So the sex chromosomes are girls are X and X, and the sex chromosomes of boys or male is a X and Y because of its shape. So students, if we talk about the gametes which releases at the time of fertilization, so these contains only one chromosomes. Like if we talk about the female, so it includes X and X, and in male it is X and Y. So these gametes contain only one like X and X, and in the sperm has X and separate Y chromosomes. So if you see, the female has XX, the male has X and Y. So when the gamete release X, and if it is fertilized with the sperm X chromosomes of a sperm, so the resulting baby will be the girl or female. And when the ovum fertilizes with the sperm carries Y chromosomes, so the resulting baby will be a male. So here what we have seen, that the chromosomes of male is responsible for the determination of the sex of the child. Whether the resulting baby will be a girl or a boy, it depends on the sperms or chromosomes of the father. So students, there is a belief that mother is responsible for the sex of baby. It is completely wrong and unjustifiable, because the sex of baby is completely determined by the chromosomes of father. When a ovum fertilizes with the sperm carries X chromosome, the resulting baby is the girl, and when ovum fertilizes with the sperm that carries Y chromosome, so the developing baby will be a male. So it was all about the determination of sex in the child. Now hormones other than the sex hormones. So students, earlier we have discussed about the testes and ovaries. These are the endocrine glands, and these are the sex hormones, which when the boy, like girl and boy, reaches at the age of puberty, these glands are stimulated by the pituitary gland to secrete the hormone. In boys it is testosterone, in girls it is estrogen and progesterone. So these are the hormones secreted from the sex hormones. Now other than this, what are the important hormones and what is its role? So students, as you know that endocrine glands consist of a bag-like structure that is called the gland. These glands also called the ductless gland. Now you know that these glands are located at the specific places inside our bodies and releases a chemical. This chemical substance is called the hormone. Now there are target organs. So the organs which respond to a particular kind of hormone are called the target glands. Now students, here we have discussed that the chemical substance is called the hormone, and these are releases at the target site, like glands which respond to a particular hormone are called the target glands. So now what are the important characteristics of hormones? So the most important characteristics is there is a secretions of endocrine gland. They act on the target organs. they directly poured in the blood, and you know that they required in a very small quantity. If it secretes in an excessive quantity, it can be harmful for the body. And you know that they are very much specific in functions, and these chemicals are proteinaceous in nature. So all these are the characteristics of hormone. Now students, what are the important hormones of a human, of our body? So these are the pituitary glands, thyroid gland, adrenal gland, pancreas, and other than this, those sex glands like endocrine glands, testes and ovaries. So let us start with the pituitary gland. Students, as you know that pituitary gland is a master gland of the endocrine system. So why it is called the master gland? Because it also controls the activity of other endocrine glands. Now, if we talk about the endocrine glands, so the pituitary gland, what is its location? So it's located at the base of the brain, and the hormone releases from the pituitary gland is called the TSH, that is a thyroid stimulating hormone, and GH, that is a growth hormone. So what is the role of TSH, thyroid stimulating hormones? So it regulates the function of thyroid gland. Now if we talk about the growth hormone, so it maintains the growth and development of the body. And you know that if it secretes in excess quantity, it can lead to a zygomatism. Now what is zygomatism? It means the extra large people. It increases the height more than need. Now if it secretes in a less quantity or if our body is not able to produce it in a sufficient quantity, it may lead to the dwarfism. Now the next endocrine gland is a thyroid gland. What is the location of thyroid gland? So the location is at the base of the throat. And what hormone releases from the thyroid gland? This is thyroid stimulating hormone. So what is its role? It regulates the temperature of the body and also helps in the growth and development of the body. But students, if it is also produced in insufficient quantity, it may lead to a disease called the goiter. What happens in this disease? The neck becomes swallow. There is a swelling takes place in the neck. Now the next one is adrenal gland. So students, adrenal glands, what is its location? It is located at the nearby the kidney, and they are 2 in numbers. And you know that adrenal glands are also called the emergency gland. Why they are called the emergency gland? Because they prepare the body to act on the emergency situation. So what are the hormones secretes from the endocrine adrenal gland? This is epinephrine or adrenaline. This hormone is called the fight or flight hormone. So why it is called the fight or flight hormone? Because it acts in a stressful situation. Because of that, that's why it is called the fight or flight hormone. Other than students, if you talk about these hormones, so sometimes we feel different kinds of emotions like anger and excitement. So you know why it happens? Because of hormones, this hormone present in our body. Other than this, what is the role of adrenal gland? So there is a sudden change in our body. It increases the heartbeat, it increases the blood sugar level, and it also increases the energy level. So it was all about the adrenal gland, and hormone releases is adrenaline or epinephrine, that is called the fight or flight hormone. Now, so these are, other than this, are pancreas. So what is its situation? This is situated near the liver, and it releases the hormone called the insulin, which regulates the blood sugar level in the body. And if our body is not able to produce it in a sufficient quantity, it can lead to a disease called the diabetes. So students, it was all the hormones which are other than the sex hormones. Other than this, if we talk about that sex hormones like testes and ovaries, so what is the location of testes? In the male reproductive organs, and it releases the hormone called the testosterone, and which is responsible for the development of secondary sexual characteristics in male. And in female, the ovaries, these are the male reproductive organs. It releases the hormones estrogen and progesterone that is responsible for the secondary sexual characteristics in development of secondary sexual characteristics in female. So it was all about the hormones that play a very important role in our body. Now the students, next is role of hormones in completing the life history of insects and frogs. So students, as earlier we have discussed about the life cycle of silkworm and frogs. So in class 7th you would have also discussed about the life cycle of silkworm. So what changes takes place there? It eggs to caterpillar, then pupa, and suddenly a moth becomes come out from the pupa. So what we have seen, there is a complete change in the moth and the pupa. They do not resemble to each other. As we had discussed about the babies of human beings, cats and other babies, so they resemble to their parents only, but in the life cycle of frogs, silkworm, they do not resemble to their young ones. As we have seen that moth emerges out from the pupa. And if we talk about the frog, so what is the life cycle of frog? Eggs to tadpole, and then suddenly from tadpole to an adult frog. And these tadpoles have a gills and fins, and if you see the adult frog, it is completely different to the tadpole. So there is a various changes takes place in the life cycle of silkworm and frog. So students, the changes from larva to adult in insect and frog is called the metamorphosis. Now, what are the hormones responsible for these changes? So students, if we talk about the insects or butterflies, so here it is ecdysome and juvenile hormones are responsible for the metamorphosis in insects. Now, if we talk about the frog, so thyroxine hormone plays a very important role in changes from tadpole to the frog. Now students, you know that if a tadpole is living in a water that has a lack of iodine, so what happens? The tadpole would not change into an adult frog. Why? Because the production of thyroxine, iodine is a very important, iodine plays a very important role. So that's why if a water where tadpoles are growing, there is a lack of iodine, a tadpole cannot change to an adult frog, So it was all about the role of hormone in the life cycle of silkworm and frogs or insects. So students, as here we have discussed about the role of hormones in the human beings and the insects and frogs. So students, hormones play a very important role in any individual's life. So there are sex hormones. If we talk about the human beings, so there were sex hormones like testes and ovaries, which are important for the development of secondary sexual characteristics in male and female that can make a child to become an adult, so that the process of reproduction can take place. Now, other than this, let us discuss about the reproductive health. So students, if we talk about the reproductive health, let us start with health. What is the meaning of health? So student, health means the mental, physical and a social well-being of an individual. And what for maintenance of proper health, what do we need? We need a proper balanced diet. It is important to take care of personal hygiene. Physical exercises are very important, and other than this, a good habit is also very important for the health. So students, let us start with the reproductive health. As students, you know that during adolescence, there is a more important essential, as the body is growing and developing at double. As we have seen, there is a sudden shot up in height. So because of that, a good nutrition is very important for the adolescents. As students, like if we talk about the good nutrition, it is important at the every age of life. But if we talk during adolescence, it becomes more essential because the body is growing. And so what are the nutritional need at this stage? So students, as earlier we have discussed that adolescence is a stage of rapid physical and mental growth. So the diet should be very much carefully planned. It should include the balanced diet. So students, as earlier we have discussed about what is balanced diet. So it should include all the components of nutrients like carbohydrates, proteins, vitamins, minerals, other than water and dietary substances. All are very important for the balanced diet. And because adolescence is a stage of rapid physical and mental growth, so this diet should be carefully planned. And they should take a balanced diet. So students, if we talk about the Indian diet, so what it includes? It includes roti, chapati, rice, dal, vegetables, curd, different kinds of salads. So what we can see, that Indian diet includes all the balanced diet and all the components of the nutrients. Like if we talk about rice and chapati, it includes carbohydrate, then dal, protein, salads, it includes minerals and vitamins. We need fat. So all the things are included in a balanced Indian diet. So students, we should follow this balanced diet, as adolescence is a period when a person feels more hunger because of rapid development in their mental and physical body. But because of that, we feel more hunger, we should avoid these junk foods. Why? Because these junk food does not include all the components of nutrients which we required at this stage. It is more of fatty, as we don't need that much of fat. We need all the components of the nutrient at the age of adolescence. As body grows more rapidly, there is a spurt growth in the height. So because of that, proteinaceous food is also very important at this stage. So what this proteinaceous food include? It include different kinds of milk products like curd, butter, and milk, other than eggs, meat, chicken, fishes, different kinds of dals like tur dal, moong dal, lentils. You can also include different kinds of nuts like almonds, walnuts, peanuts. So these are the important proteins which we required at this stage. But if we talk about the girls, so girls are facing the menstruation cycle at this stage. So there is a loss of blood takes place from the body. So because of that, they need a food that should be rich in iron, calcium and zinc. So what this food include? They can include different kinds of fruits, vegetables, jaggery, Indian gooseberry. All these are the important things which include more iron. So these are the important balanced diet at the age of adolescence for the boys and girls. Now students, personal hygiene is also important at this stage. As earlier we have discussed, there is an increased activity of sweat gland and sebaceous gland. So because of increased activity of sweat glands, adolescents feel more sweating. So because of more sweating, bacteria can be multiplied in a more quantity and they can feel and it can cause the odor. So it is advisable to at least take bath once in a day. Other than this, because of activity of sebaceous gland and increased activity of sebaceous gland and sweat gland, they can see the acne and pimples on their face. Of course, it doesn't appear good, but we should what we can do, we can use soap, non-greasy soap, but you should not prick all these acne and pimples, as earlier we have discussed, that they may leave the scar on your face if you follow this practice again and again. So avoid pricking all these pimples. Instead of that, take care of wash your face many times, and if still it is persist, you can take the advice of your doctor.